online class. Yes, I know it's been a while. We are back in the classroom. I do want to apologise for the sparsity in videos over the past few weeks. And it's been knocked back to once every 2 weeks. Work got ahead of me. But got some time to finally sit down and record. And what better time than in the middle of the Lyrical season. So, Lyrical does drop as of this Friday at the time of recording. And I want to give you some example lists to actually go over. And because we got a lot of new people picking up the Nation. Because the Lyrical set 4 is actually a really interesting set. So we're going to be covering them across 3 videos for the main bulk of Lyrical set 4. I may do some individual videos of some of the more interesting, less supported decks that got a nice little buff. Like, for example, MELOETTAMATT and the Lyrical, because I enjoy those decks. And I can go a bit more in depth with those that got smaller amounts of support that are a bit more niche, because you're not going to see them as much, and learning about them is really fun. So we're going to start straight off with the main 3 cover units in this video of Charmout. We've got the Fenelle, and we've got Siana. And we're going to go in that order, so let's start off with Charmout. So obviously we're going to cover the boss first, which is Lyrical Charmout. Very French, I know. I tried my French pronunciations for this video just to appease a few people. But yeah. So Lyrical Charmout has got 2 skills. First one is at Vanguard Circle. Once a turn, Counterblast 1. Choose up to 2 grade 2 or less cards with Lyrical in their card names from your soul. Call it to Rearguard Circle, and this unit gets 5,000 power to land a turn. And her second skill is at Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, while not boosted, choose 3 of your grade 2 or less rearguards with Lyrical in their different card names, and increase or decrease their power to match this unit's power until end of turn. If this unit is 33,000 or greater power, and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can then on top Soul Blast 2, and until end of turn, the rearguard in the back row center rearguards column, chosen by this ability, can attack from the back row, and it performs drive checks. So this is very, very exciting. First skill is a very, very Pale Moon-esque in the fact that it pulls stuff out of Soul. Because, spoiler alert, the whole ride line is Lyrical, and the ride line has the ability to push themselves back into Soul. So very Magia-esque from G format, in the fact of it goes in, out, in, out, in, out. Really interesting. But she's also got the very interesting playstyle of being, get me to this amount of power, to then share the power. So it's very interesting. You've got some really nice combos you can perform with this. 33k isn't that hard to reach when you actually sit and look at the card pool, which I'll show in the deck profile section. And performing drive checks on a back row center rearguard circle is what enables her 4 attacks. They've balanced it as well by making it your opponent has to be grade 3 or greater, so that it's not I'm rushing you down, I'm aggroing you, punching you in the face before you even reach grade 3. Which is fair enough, because hitting 33k, very nice to have. I do want to stress, if you Persona Ride with Charmout, and then swing with her and have Lyrical in your front row, the setting to 33k means that those rearguards lose the Persona Ride numbers, because obviously it increases or decreases their powers to match her. So it counts the Persona Ride into those powers. Ideally, you want to be putting your Lyrical in the back row, so you're getting the 33k sets fully on them, and then the front row is still getting the Persona Ride buffs. But what else have we got for Charmout in terms of support? Well, we've got a very good triple rare support card in the Vivid Night Festival, Aurealis. Aurealis has got 2 interesting skills. First one is Auto. When this card is placed on Rearguard Circle, you can counterblast 1. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Levelers in their card name. Reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And second skill is at Rearguard Circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levelers in its card name, you can arrest this card, choose a card from your drop zone, put it into your soul, then choose one of your Vanguards and gets 5,000 power till end of turn. So, nice little consistency piece to the deck. So, what this hints is obviously, because only Charmout only calls 2, that you want to run this and have the max copies of the grade 1 and 2 in the Rard line. Also in the main deck. So, Aurealis helping search the piece that you want. Vanguard then counterblasting to call the other ones out. So you got your 3 on the turn, then obviously the grade 1 then eats 2 of them back up again, so you've got 1 on board. So if you do somehow lose one of the rear guards on the board, you can then use another Aurealis to then search out another one. If you don't lose it, you can just call 2 back out from Soul again. Really interesting combos. But the rest to help build up the Soul is really nice as well. It then lets us help get the Soul Blast 2 cost back again, turn after turn for Charmo's second part of the effect. Plus you're giving 5k, so if you've used this and the Counterblast skill, that's 23k. Persona Ride, 33k. Oh look, you've hit the number. Really nice to have. But it doesn't stop there. We get even more consistency in this deck with a Magician's Work Colby. So Colby's got the skill of Auto. When this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levelers in its card name, you can Counterblast 1, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets 5,000 power to end the turn. Then, if your Vanguard is 23,000 or greater, you draw a card. So, nice and simple, on place, plus 5k, oh, you've hit this amount, draw a card. Very easy to hit the 23k, because obviously you can use Charmo's skill first, then this, oh look, you draw a card. So, really nice. But let's have a quick look at the example list. So as you can see from the example list here, it's literally 4 of everything from the new set, pretty much. Outside of Rayleigh. And the reason we've gone for Rayleigh in this list, because it's literally Soul Blast 1, give your Vanguard 5k. It's forced us to run this for the fact of there's not enough good power gain within Lyrical yet. The 50 card deck actually somewhat hindered it. So obviously Rayleigh being an expensive card at the moment does make this a bit harder to build as a deck, but it is the optimal card to run. We are running 4 copies of Recess as well, which is an on place plus 10k. So does help build the Charmout power increases very quickly on the non-Persona Ride turns, because it gives the Vanguard that Persona Ride oomph of power. As you saw from what we were reading through the cards, there was a lot of Counterblast costs. Well, the grade 2 of the Ride line, Levelers Calmina, does have the ability, when she's chosen by your 23,000 or greater Vanguard Leveler, then she can countercharge 1 and soul charge 1. So we do actually have some interesting plays to work around with. The last other card we have added also from the new set is the Ramona, which is putting her and something else into soul from your rearguard into your soul, draw a card, and your Vanguard gains 5k. So you can combo this off quite nicely with Aurealis, that's rested itself, put both into soul, draw a card, and give Vanguard 5k. And then still you'll be able to use those full rearguard circles to actually attack. So really interesting combos. As for OT, we have gone for the Valnor in this deck, due to the fact of, if we use Valnor and check Valnor on the Charmout attack, we can then target our back row center rearguard circle that's getting the drive checks and can attack from the back row, the ability to restand. So we're turning our 3 drive, 4 attack deck into a 4 drive, 5 attack deck. So why would we not? I have gone for the basics of 8 crits for 3 fronts, due to the fact of this deck wants to see crit, 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 quick kills quickly as possible. It is a very aggro deck. Don't need draw because you've already got so much compression and draw in the deck that fronts just work better. Transfer is just there for the extra little bit of defense, plus it was an extra slot filler. Obviously, when we get to the triple drive set, you will want to replace it with that new Regardless piece, due to the fact that it gives Vanguard 5,000 power, and protects your rear guards during your opponent's turn. So, helps Charmout skill, while still giving you benefits during your opponent's turn, so really, overall, better Regardless piece, personally. Let's move on to the next Lyrical deck, and we're on to Fenelle this time. So let's start off by covering Fenelle. Fenelle's got the skills of Continuous Vanguard Circle. During your turn, you can play 3 orders, but cannot play orders other than Trick and Treat or Regardless pieces. And Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, if you play 3 or more orders this turn, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards until the end of turn. This unit and that unit gets a crit, and all of your front row units get power plus 2,000 for each Trick and Treat in your drop zone. So this is our Zorga version, I think is the best response to put it. So Zorga obviously was the Alchemagic combining orders. This is just, here's an order, here's an order, here's an order. But it's more than just Zorga. Because obviously, if it's counting Trick and Treat orders, you'd more than likely think, well, it's limited to 4. It's about 8k front row, crit and crit's not strong. Well, this is a bit like Gravidia at the same time, when you look at Trick and Treat. So, Trick and Treat's first line says, Continuous, you may have up to 16 Trick and Treats in a deck. And play this if you've got a Vanguard with Fenelle in its card name. You can then perform one of the following according to the number of times you've played an order with the same card name as this card during your turn. If this is the first time you've played it, your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and they may put it on the bottom of their deck. If they did not do that, you can draw a card. So really good. Second skill, you draw a card guaranteed and then get to countercharge 1. And then the third time is choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from your drop zone and call it a rearguard circle. So now you've seen both in action, you can see the potential of this. So with mass amounts of Trick and Treats, you can really build up a very aggressive deck that's turboing through these, compressing super hard, and then just punching your opponent in the face. Because also every one of these you now get to act in your drop zone mass pumps the front row. So say you're running the 16, that's a full 32k to your front row plus Persona Ride. You can really get some really aggressive numbers. But then you're more like thinking, well, if it's all that, what else have you actually got to pressure with? Well, we have got the cycle card from set, which is akin to the set 11 ones, which is the One Night Witch Stranger. So Stranger's got the skill, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, other than by a unit card's ability, if you played an normal order this turn, you can Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, use up to 1 card with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard, and call it your rearguard circle. Or you can choose an order card, and it goes to your hand. Then shuffle your deck. The normal order this is. And second skill is when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, if this unit was played this turn, when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if this unit was played this turn, you can Counterblast 1, draw a card, and this gains 10,000 power. So we can play this off of our Trick and Treat. It wasn't played by a unit card's ability, so we can then Stranger to Soul Blast 1 and get more deck compression out of it. So we can actually build up a really interesting board off of it. Then obviously on that turn you've got the ability to Counterblast 1, draw a card, plus 10k, to get some really aggressive numbers out of it. As you see from the order itself, the Counterblast isn't too much of an issue because we are countercharging every time we get to the second order. So really good resource management within the deck. But let's have a look at an example list. So the example list here is very interesting, I think is the best response. We have got a couple of extra new cards which I didn't cover, which was the Frank Explorer Crispina, which on place, can blast 1, search your deck or drop for a trick and treat, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Really good, because obviously we want to be playing 3 orders a turn, so we do need a trick and treat. Then I've obviously got the grade 2 Haunted Spot Iristana, which is the other new card, which on place during your main phase, if you play 3 or more orders this turn, you can Soul Blast 1, choose a normal unit, different card name from this, and call it to Rearguard Circle. So it's literally Frazier, but from calling from the drop instead of checking the top 5, so you can have some different combos. But she's also got the odd hit of when she hits, search your deck for a when it hits a Vanguard. Sorry, you should search your deck for a trick and treat. So extra consistency for treats. Ride line also, as you're riding up, checks top 7, adds up to 2 trick and treats from deck to hand. So getting them is quite easy to do. But if you think about it logically, that would cause you to run out of steam quickly. That is why I've gone and added 3 copies of the Jennifer in the deck. Just for the fact of it lets me discard a card to activate a trick and treat from the drop if I need that extra order activation, because I've only got to 2. So it's extra uses of the orders. It puts the order then back into the deck, which then we can research out if the Iristana actually gets to hit. As a little bit of an alternative win con for the deck, I have added in 2 copies of Stronger the Yearning in the Heart Florenzia, because her skill is when she's placed on Rearguard Circle other than from hand, at the end of the turn, when your opponent would call cards from hand to Guardian Circle, during this unit's battle, they must call 2 or more. So if you put a crit on her, and the Fenelle buffs, she gets to be a really big card that forces a 2-card guard restrict. Combining this obviously with the fact that we've gone for the red OT again, means that you'd get to do it twice. Obviously, with the style of the deck, we have got 8 crits, 3 fronts, because it is just another very aggro deck. But all in all, I've been playing this a lot, and I really do enjoy playing Fenelle. But from all this aggro, let's move into the final list, which is a bit more defensive in the forms of Siana. So Siana herself is 3 skills. Very interesting skills at that. First one, continuous Vanguard Circle. If your opponent's Guardian Circle and front row Rearguard Circle have a total of 2 or less units, this unit gets crit +1 and drive +1. And second skill is auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit is attacked and cost, put a trigger unit from your hand into your soul, and this unit gets 15,000 power till end of battle. And third skill is auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle, this unit was attacked by a rearguard. If no cards were put from on Guardian Circle this battle, your opponent chooses a card from their hand, and they may discard it. If they did not discard a card, bind the rearguard that has attacked. So, very, very, very defensive. Get to turn our triggers into 15k power, which, whilst crits and fronts normally have 15k shield, this is a really good buff for the raw triggers and the effect heals. So obviously, the effect heals are only 10k base, so really good. But we're then rewarded for doing that skill via her third skill, sorry, and the fact that it then either forces them to discard or they lose the rearguard. I do need to stress, however, that obviously when your opponent's got a skill that activates end of the battle, they resolve that first before you get to resolve Siana. So if they then self-clear the unit off the board, say for example with Smoke Gear Dragon, not Smoke Gear, Upstream, sorry, wrong dragon for Chronojet, which returns itself back to deck grab grade 1, they can then choose not to discard, but don't lose the rearguard, because obviously they've already cleared it off the board. So you do have to be careful against the matchups, obviously, but it's overall really interesting. We still do have the offensive pressure though, because obviously if your opponent's Guardian Circle and front row doesn't have 3 cards, you then get the crit and the drive. But you're more likely thinking, well, if they discard the cards, they keep their front row. How do we get around this? Well, that's where her support cards come in. And we're going to start off with the Jacko Parade's Theratheus, sorry. So Theratheus has got the skill of, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards, and you may put it, and you may return it to hand. And second skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard with Siana in its card name, you can counterblast 1, and this unit gets 5k power to end of the turn, end of that battle for every one of your opponent's empty front row rearguards. If it's 10,000 or greater power gained, you get to draw a card. So on place, bounce something. Really good from the get-go. This helps us get to our Siana condition. Because obviously, you can place this down. If your opponent didn't have one of their rearguards bound, you can then bounce it. And it helps us get towards the empty front row rearguard circles, both for Siana's skill and for Theratheus' skill. Because obviously the draw is very solid from the deck. It's also not grade locked. So we can put this down early on grade 2, counterblast 1, draw a card, and start farming for cards really quickly, which is really good. Especially for the fact of we are defensive, we need the hand to defend, is the honest response. But that's not all we got in terms of defense. We did also get the wonderful wand, Rubia. So Rubia's got 2 skills again. First one is very similar in the, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and may return it to hand. Sounds familiar to Theratheus. But the second skill gets even more interesting. When your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Siana in its card name attacks or is attacked, you can put this into your soul, choose one of your Vanguards, it gets 10k until the end of the battle. So, extra little buff for Siana to making her 23k on attack, 33k persona ride. But she's really useful for an extra little buff on the defensive side. So you can push her up to 23k if you don't want to use Siana's skill, because you only need a 10k block. So really nice to have. But that's enough of the cards. Let's look at a deck profile. So as you can see from the list I have got here, very interesting I think is the best response. Obviously we've gone more draw focused than we have crit focused. This is due to the fact of draws are actually more beneficial for the deck. Because it's not only drawing a card, they're still 15k shields once we get to Siana. In grade 3 form that is. Because obviously they put them into soul, takes away the downside of draw triggers being the lower shield, that it's more beneficial to actually run draws. Yes, you are getting less pressure on your rear guards, but this is more of a slow tempo defensive deck where you're wanting to drain your opponent's hand and resources. So, really good slow tempo. We have gone for some good old generics. We've got Eureka for the fact that we want to bounce our Theratheus every turn. So we can then place it back down, do another bind, bring in with it boosted, counterblast 1, draw, gain 10k, and then bounce it back to hand. So, really nice. We've also gone for a couple of copies of Valshablan, because the early ditch to farm extra cards, really nice. Plus, Persona Ride turn, we can play her down, counterblast 1, give the Vanguard the front row gains 5k skill, just to add that extra pressure to our opponent, who's going to be running out of cards in the later game. We've also gone for a very interesting option of Aura, in the fact of obviously when she hits, you can retire. When she boosts and attack the hits, you can retire her search deck for an order card. And the reason we're running orders is the fact of blitz orders are a defensive mechanic that doesn't place on the Guardian Circle. So obviously we've got our Sanctitude, we've got our Transfer, we've got Vibrant Symphony, which is a 30k Blitz order if you've taken no damage that turn. We've also got the new Blitz in the forms of Unseeable Exterior, who needs you to have 3 open rearguard circles, which with all the clearing that we've got in the deck, it's not that hard to actually do. And you then gain 15k shield, but if your opponent's Vanguard is placed by a card ability, it becomes a 30k shield. So the Mask decks, the Stride decks, and the Grade 4s that are Superior Road that turn, this all becomes a 30k shield. Youthberg as well, because Youthberg likes to revel dress. So, really interesting card. But Blitzes not being placed on the Guardian Circle does help for Siana. You do have to be careful though, because obviously you can only do 1 Blitz per turn. But you're more likely thinking, well, what's the decks out then to front row resistors? Because we haven't got anything. Well, we have got 2 copies of Like a Utopia Nautji, which, when she attacks, if you've got a Grade 3 or Greater Vanguard with Siana, you can Soul Blast 1 to just return all of your opponent's front row rearguard circles to hand, and it gains 5k. So it is a untargeting front row bounce, so it does work with the resist, because obviously you're not targeting them, they just automatically go back to hand, you just nuke in the front row, but it does require her to be the first swing. So you do lose a little bit of pressure because you haven't got somewhere to dump triggers at that point, so you do need to be careful. But overall, really solid deck. But as of the 3 decks, because that is now all 3 covered, the one we're going to see the most of is going to be Charmout, because it is a really solid deck. Both Siana and Fenelle do have their niches and can both be really enjoyable decks to play, but they just need that little bit extra push, which we may see further down the line with DZ01, because we have got the generic cycles coming in for both triple rare and double rare. Obviously, this is being recorded pre the triple rare one, but the Persona Ride one, giving the buff to the board, really does help out Siana, because it's an extra Valshablan, so really can be interesting to play with. But that's going to be it for this video. If you haven't done so already, please do like and subscribe. It very much does help the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.